Hi, friends. It's wonderful to be back after so many months. Uh, Even as I begin to share God's word, I want to start by sharing a small story. It speaks about a person who wanted to cross a bridge along with God. He was so scared, so he asked God, "Can I hold your hand so I won't fall into the river?" And God said, "No, my child, I should hold your hand." And he asked, "What's the difference?" God replied, "If you hold my hand and something happens, you might let go. But if I hold your hand, no matter whatever happens, I will never let go." Well, this is where I would like to emphasize uh, on this particular verse from the Bible. It is in Psalm chapter 37, verse 23 and 24. It says like this: "The steps of a good man are directed and established by the Lord, and he delights in his way. When he falls, he will not be hurled down, because the Lord is the one who holds his hand and sustains him." Uh, I would like to emphasize on this particular thing: the one who holds his hand and sustains. The one who holds his hand. To substantiate the holding of the hand, uh, in the New Testament, we see many incidents where Jesus himself holds the hands of certain people. I want to bring before you three such incidents where Jesus puts his hand, holds them, and pulls them out. The first one is it's found in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13, where it speaks about Peter. When Jesus walked on the water, and all the other disciples were rowing the boat, and Peter, when he saw Jesus walking on the water, he also wanted to walk on the water, and he asked Jesus if he could walk, and Jesus said yes, he could walk. So he asked him to walk on the water. He stepped out of the boat and he walked on the water towards Jesus. As he was coming very close to Jesus, he saw the wind and the waves, and the whole thing was the waves rising up against him. When he saw that, he started to sink. And what did Jesus do? He immediately put his hand and pulled him out of the water. And what he said is, and immediately, it says in Matthew 14:31 like this: "And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?'" So here we see Jesus stretching out his hand and pulling Peter out of the water. This is one place where Jesus uses his hand to pull somebody out of that situation. The second one is about Jairus' daughter. When Jairus came to Jesus asking Jesus to come home and pray over the sick child. But even as Jairus was talking with Jesus, some people from Jairus' home, they came and told that do not disturb the master, because your daughter is dead. And Jesus, he immediately went to Jairus' house, and he almost asked all the others to stay outside. Only his disciples and Jairus and the family, they all went into the house, and Jesus, what he did was, he it says in Mark chapter 5 verse 41 like this: and he took the child by the hand and said to her, Talitha Kumi, which is translated, little girl, I say to you, arise. So here again Jesus uses his hand to pull Jairus' daughter out from death. So here is a dead situation where Christ uses his hand, stretches forth his hand, and pulls Jairus' daughter out of death. And the third one is a very very illustrative incident where some of the people of scribes and Pharisees and all these people, they bring a woman caught in adultery, and they bring her before Jesus and ask Jesus that if she could be stoned to death, because the law of Moses said that a person who commits adultery should be stoned to death. And they were all ready to stone her to death, but Jesus stooped down and started to write on the sand, and then one by one all the others started to leave, and there was nobody there except Jesus and the woman. And Jesus asked this woman, it says in John chapter 8 verse 11 like this: she said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I condemn you, go and sin no more. Here again Jesus is using his hand to pull her out of that sinful situation. So there are three things I explained to you. One is Jesus pulling Peter out of the water, out of a situation where he was totally drowned, and Jesus uses his hand to pull Peter out of that situation. The second one is Jairus' daughter was dead. It was a dead situation, and Jesus pulled Jairus' daughter out. And the third is the woman who was a sinful woman, but Jesus was able to give her a new life, and not only a new life, but her complete image and everything was changed. I'm sure after this incident, she would never have gone back to that life again, that sinful life again. So God is the one who holds our hand, and he also is a God who sustains us. In the beginning I talked about a story where a person wanted to cross the bridge along with God because he was scared. He wanted to hold God's hand, but God said, no, I will hold your hand. In fact, many times we try to hold God's hand, but God, only when you allow God to hold your hand, your situation will be set right, and your sinking will be lifted up, and you will be able to stand on ground. And just like I said about the dead situation, he will be able to bring us out from that death situation, and he will be able to make us stand and give us new life. And finally, that verse, Psalm 37 verse 23 and 24, because the Lord is the one who holds his hand and sustains. So God is the one who holds our hand and sustains us. May God bless the sharing. Thank you.